I don't know who thinks they're the right age to be an entrepreneur, because everyone seems to think they're either too old or too young. You know, people think, oh, it's harder for a woman. People think, oh, it's harder for a man. I'm just one of many white males out there. You know, it's going to be hard for me to stand out. Like, whatever it is about you, I found that, or like, I'm too tall, I'm too short, you know, everybody has something that's an insecurity for them. And it's so easy to think that your story is the one that's real when other people sound really silly. You know, I've met people that thought they were so tall that everyone would be intimidated and people wouldn't be able to connect with them. Like, it sounds silly when it's not you, but when it's you, it's a very real thing. So, I mean, something that helps me is definitely just remembering that everyone has these feelings, especially when you're starting out. And I also just like to remember, like, again, even if they're thinking it, like, who cares? It really doesn't affect me. And people that wouldn't, let's say, do business with you because you're too tall, like, probably right. You can find some other people to do business with. I mean, I think that's something that I've done really successfully, is done some big things that in retrospect, I'm like, I was really early in my career for doing that. Like, I went on safari with Richard Branson through Virgin Unite when I was like, I guess I must have been like 26 years old. Like, the fact that when I got presented with that opportunity, I was like, oh yeah, this is like, yes, this is something I should do. Like, I'm the person that they should pick for this. I think a lot of people would think, oh, I need to be more experienced before I could even like consider that or like talk to them about it, where I've always kind of put myself in the running. I mean, just recently I went to this event that was supposed to be for businesses like 10 million and over, which my business is not. But it's like, you know, I'm going to apply, like, tell them that I'm not quite there yet, but I'd like to be a part of their community and I'd like to learn. And I went, and it was great. And so I think, yeah, it gave me sort of the freedom and the mindset to say, I don't have to be limited. I can go for things that are bigger than me. If I ever want to attend a conference, I always pitch myself as a speaker, because I think, well, if I'm going to attend, I might as well speak. And so I might as well ask. And sometimes it's a yes, and sometimes it's a no. But most of the speaking gigs that I've gotten, I have approached them. And there's so many misconceptions around that. A lot of people think, like, how do you be a speaker? I guess you have to wait for your phone to ring. And that's not how I've done it. You know, something you learn as an entrepreneur. Well, I think a lot of entrepreneurs have this idea that rules do not apply to us, which sometimes can backfire. Like, the government does not agree that rules do not apply to us. But the reason we get that idea is because you start to see that so many of the limitations that people perceive are not real. And it can just be really small things, like even, you know, the minimums of like applying to groups. Or like just this morning, I was talking to someone about the special bank account, and on their website they had said you needed 200K to have this special bank account. And my friend was like, oh, actually we just opened it with 20K. They said, you know, maybe we can grow into the 200K later. And it's amazing how many times we like, you know, read something on the internet and we're like, oh, that's the end. They said 200K. I don't have 200K. That's it. And we just rule ourselves out when, like, most of the time people are flexible, situations are flexible, or if you just ask, the answer is so often yes. I happened to meet an investor who I was like very philosophically aligned with, very excited to work with him. He seemed excited to work with me. And so we started having calls about the opportunity. He was interested. I was trying to raise 500K and he was interested in doing the whole 500. And it always seemed to be going very well. And it seemed to be going so well that I made the huge mistake of not pursuing any other paths, which is just like such a bad idea. And I knew it was a bad idea, but honestly, I think the reason I did it is because I was so intimidated by the whole fundraising, talking to investors thing, that I just like didn't want to talk to anyone else. So I had already invested 500K of my own money into the project, but it wasn't just the money. It was like, I owe it to this business. So by that point, basically like the 500K built the product, but then the money ran out before we launched it. So we had a product totally ready to go, ready to launch. So it was just like, it seemed like such a waste to build this really great product and then no one to be able to see it. And I think that was my main motivation, not even like, the sunk money or the sunk cost, just like, I want to give this the shot that it deserves. And like right now, this is what has to be done for this project to survive. And thinking about how I would feel later, I'm just like, man, if I just gave up and didn't, because, who knows if it was going to work. If it hadn't worked, like at least I would have tried. And I just knew that if I had looked back and been like, yeah, then when we ran out of money, I just gave up and didn't try anything, I'd be like, man, that was really dumb. I think something that I still have to remind myself of is, you're in business for yourself for a reason. Choose what you really want to do. Because I think a lot of the missteps in my career have been from what I felt like I should do, what I felt like was maybe going to make more money, what I felt obligated to do, what everyone else was doing. And it's like, well, the whole reason we started working for ourselves is so that we could do things our way. And I meet entrepreneurs all the time who are like, oh, I really don't like my business model, or I really don't like my clients. It's like, well, stop. Stop what you're doing. Fire your clients. Like, you can always come back to them if you have to. You can always just get a real job again if you have to. But we didn't get into this just to create careers that make us miserable, right? That's not the idea behind being an entrepreneur. So I think the sooner you can learn, like, just go for what you really want. We don't know if it's going to turn out or if it's going to turn out exactly what you imagined it would or how you imagined it would, but you're always going to learn. It's always going to get you one step closer to where you want to be.